Hey, good day, everybody. Grand rising to everyone out there. Yeah, my voice is kind of lower than normal. This is not my normal conversational voice, even though I can't find it. But it's a voice nonetheless, and it's a little deeper because I've been out running around quite a bit these days, and I'm not complaining because we are right in the throes of the tour season for ground transportation, right? So I'm trying to stay available and eligible to work whenever I can. Something came to mind as I was sitting here readying for this local shuttle trip today. I'm just dropping my group off at a major area attraction. And I don't know, I met up with, ran into a few of my passengers last night in the lounge, the hotel lounge where we're staying. And usually when I'm on paper, and this was the case last night, I'll consume ginger ale. I was offered a beer, but I don't consume alcoholic beverages when I'm on paper because it's too risky. Plus, for a commercial driver, the blood alcohol content cannot be any greater than 0.05. So it's a whole other level. And what would it, I'm thinking about the optic, right? People are just being nice, with the gesture. But anyway, no, that wasn't the main issue. The main reason for me coming to you today is I was having a conversation with one of my passengers, right? One of the mothers of the children that's riding, and she's actually one of the chaperones, this young lady. And she was expressing appreciation for the fact that I was being interactive with everybody on the bus, right? Because she says she's ridden on trips before, and the driver isn't necessarily as interactive, especially, much less with the kids. And she complimented me for it. And I told her, I said, you know what? I wasn't always that way, especially when I first got into doing it. And it also depends on the situation, see, because I learned to kind of read the crowd. And if they feel like, conversing, or they want to hear about their driver, because, we're going to be spending a lot of time together over a considerable distance. In this case, we're 5 miles away from home for them. And I'm responsible and duty bound to get them to each destination without compromising safety. See, I say without compromising safety because that's the thought process, but to the casual outsider that might see how the bus is being operated, they may be thinking more, what is it, subjectively instead of objectively, and think that you're operating your coach in an unsafe manner. And the number of people that you might run across haven't driven anything more than a rental truck from U-Haul or something. But I digress. The pleasant conversation that I had last night was involving my being interactive, my being somewhat jovial, my not sweating the small stuff, right? And letting them know and being transparent and letting them know what to expect from me as a service provider, letting them know that they are not going to be stranded because they're far away from home, and to encourage them to keep their environment, clean, and that I was going to provide a clean environment, that I was going to provide a safe environment, to not be concerned about anything while they're on the trip. Because I know the gravity of this thing. And at the same time, even though I don't really dwell too heavily on it, I'm an ambassador for the industry, right? I'm trying to put in this case, literally, I'm trying to put my best foot forward. But I do the little things that I believe I should do to try to represent well, not only for myself, whether or not I get a gratuity out of it, because that just came to mind, whether or not I get a gratuity, that's immaterial. The thing that's certain is that if I'm operating somebody else's equipment at a commercial capacity, then I have to be compensated for it. And it may not necessarily come in the form of gratuity, and I accept that. It may not come necessarily with my food being comped. I'm prepared for that possibility, because last night, that's what happened. Took them down to an attraction in Dallas, medieval times. And I was told previously, earlier before going down there, that one of the people that had the tickets didn't show up. And then, but come to find out that they actually did. Somebody actually did. They didn't give the ticket to me. So am I gonna pout about it? No, because you know why? I was already prepared to eat somewhere else. 9 times out of 10, I don't necessarily eat with the crowd, with the group, unless I'm expressly invited. I don't look for handouts. I don't look for anybody to give me comps. You know, because I work the trip. That's it. And I think it's this approach to simplicity and having a common sense attitude is really what gets me through and allows me to persevere in this business. Speaking of common sense, that's how I actually started the my introductory remarks before we took off. The pre-trip announcement, whatever you want to call it, covering all the safety information that that's required and such, and ensuring that they were comfortable before we took off, telling them about the different sensations that they're probably going to feel because of the way the coach is constructed, stuff like that. And they really appreciated that. And it goes back to that interaction, I believe, that they told me that I possessed that ability to be interactive. And I actually never considered myself to be a people person. I've had other people tell me I'm a people person. And yeah, we are in the business of hauling people, taking people to cool places. That's what I get out of it. That, and when you reunite people with their families that did not go on the trip. Or they show up and they didn't necessarily ride the bus, but they show up and you pull up and it's a look that they're refreshed. They're glad that you made the trip, that you got them there to where they needed to be. That's key. That's key. And that's what I like about this business. That's what I like about this aspect I like about this industry. Let's see. I had something else to touch on, I think, but I lost track. I know I got to get rid of this thing. It's kind of difficult when you get a certain age. It gets harder and harder and harder to get rid of. So, yeah, it's a good trip. It's gonna be a good day, and everything works out too. Because the thing is too, I want to add this. I'm not one to say that I always go the extra mile. But sometimes there's an impulse that emerges that you should do the extra mile. Because the other night, I found out that one of the kids that I had on a previous trip, just prior to this one that I'm on, that they left a drum kit, part of a drum kit on the bus, a snare drum to be exact. And I also saw like a little water cooler, like a little drinking decanter thing with a bunch of decals on it. I was pretty sure that somebody really, really missed that. So I still had my customer's phone number, the previous customer's number. I called them up, and it just so happens everything's working out well because I'll be returning to where the previous trip was, and not far from that is a truck stop where I can get fuel, where I actually have a contract with, which is Love's Travel Stop. So I'm going to work it in to the work that I'm doing today, and hopefully the line isn't too long at the Blue Beacon where I can get my bus washed, because it looks pretty gnarly. So yeah, I don't know. Those are just some impressions and ways that I go about, doing things in this business. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Believe me, I am not saying I'm perfect, because there's some things yesterday I'm not going to even mention. All I got to say is that people need to really, really, really exercise some due caution and care around these buses. That's all I got to say about that. All right, well, safe travels to y'all. I didn't mean to go on this long, but I did. And this is one in another installment, I guess, of whatever I decide to go ahead and call this thing on the YouTube. Peace.